Hi, friends. Ted Green, part of the investor relations team here at Spartan Investment Group. I'm going to share my screen as we talk about how to use the investment portfolio tracking tool that was built by Spartan. And so let's just dive right into it. The first thing you're going to want to do is save the Excel file to your computer. The file won't work properly if it's not saved to your hard drive. And I'm sorry, kids. The Macs just don't work well with this Excel file. A PC is going to be necessary. In the FAQ tab, bottom left-hand corner, these 4 steps, these are 3 steps, and then each time you use the Excel file going forward, you're going to want to click a button that allows macros to run, but we want to run, or we want to enable these 3 steps. So let's just dive into it. Feel free to pause as you work alongside. The first thing we do is click File, go down to Options, click Add-ins. Here in this menu, click Add-ins. Hit Go next to Manage Excel Add-ins. And if you need to find Excel add-ins, just hit the fly down arrow and then hit Go. Put a tick mark in the solver box and hit OK. While we're here, let's go to File Options and Trust Center. Trust Center. We're now working on that 3rd step. We're going to hit the Trust Center settings, and you want to have a tick mark here in the VBA project object. Okay, so then we'll click that, get out of there. Yeah, we're here in the developer tab, and this is now the 2nd step right here, a reference to solver. We're here in the developer tab. We're going to hit Visual Basic. Another window is going to open up. That might show up on a different screen if you've got a couple of different monitors. Go to Tools, go to References, and we want to have a tick mark next to Solver and just hit OK. And close out that window, and now we're hot. Again, each time you open Excel, this Excel file that is saved to your hard drive, you're going to see a small yellow button that shows up above the formula bar. This is the formula bar, and it's going to be somewhere right here, and just allow add-ins to run. And each time you use it, you do need to make that allowance. Pretty easy. The tool is built to track a portfolio of private investments, be it a Spartan investment or anywhere. And from my perspective, a best practice is to have a well-diversified portfolio. So that's why we built it this way. You can use, by the way, if you have any information in this box when you open up the Excel file for the first time, just hit backspace or delete, and that'll take care of that. Type your sponsor's name here. If you are adding a self-storage investment or multifamily or what have you, make that selection in that box. I don't want to change that one. Type in the name of the investment date, the invested amount, the pref, the IRR. Just a quick couple of sentences on IRR. Internal rate of return is the present value of a stream of future cash flows. Accordingly, until the investment has sold and you know what the gain is from that investment, and you know how long it took you to get that gain, 4 years, 5 years, what have you, until you've got all the cash flow, either by way of monthly or quarterly income, also by way of a gain, until you have all of that information, the IRR, internal rate of return, is going to show as a negative number because you've not had your basis returned to you. Fun fact. Now you know. So don't be caught off guard if IRR is showing negative. You just don't know what the gain is until you do know. So there's that. Okay, equity multiple of 1.9. I'm guessing at the IRR and the fund, and from my perspective, that's a comfortable guess. Tax loss 30% on Storage Fund 1, which is 15,000 off of a basis of 50. The tax year that applies. Fun fact: as new units go into service in any investment, as soon as you have certificate of occupancy, that's going to trigger likely in additional stream of bonus depreciation. Regardless, for this example, 2022 is what we're using. The maturity date, that's a guess. So I've entered this information, and now let's hit enter, and voila, now we've got an investment that has been added to the file. We're going to go down here and select the same investment, and the first tranche of assets went that was brought in on June 28. The first distribution was September 1st of 2022. So we're going to tell the computer that, and we're going to tell the computer we received $292, and we're going to tell the computer that we had $292 return of basis. I want to hover here for a minute because in a moment, this is going to be a critical piece of information. Storage Fund 1 returns basis. It's a return of investment, not a return on investment. The reason for that, a return of investment, 99% of the time, is not going to trigger a tax responsibility for either active or passive investors. Be sure to check that with your tax advisor. You may have something going that is different than the rest of us. Everything I've seen, most investors, a return of basis is not a taxable event. You don't have to, if you have other investments that are single purpose LLC entities or general partnerships that are not returning basis, you don't have to have a number in that in this cell here. So if it's not a return of principal, just put 0. That means you're receiving return on investment as opposed to the way Storage Fund 1 handles things, which is a return of investment. By the way, Storage Fund 1, I can tell that I'm getting geared up to give a 5-minute speech on return on versus return of basis. Well, let me just touch on it. The gains that are distributed when the assets are sold are not contingent on your paid in capital account balance or the amount of basis that is still in the fund. Those two things are the same. The amount of basis equals the paid in capital account balance that you have in the fund. Okay, so I want to be sure we get this right. Your percentage of the future value of the asset when it's sold is not contingent on whether or not you have a lot of basis or a little basis left in the investment. The reason for that is the fund documents were designed such that your participation in the gain is reliant on your original basis, your original ownership percentage, your original paid in capital account balance. So we've utilized the IRS's tax laws by doing a return of basis. It helps you on your tax return, but it has no effect on how much or how little of the gain you get at sale. That's fixed in stone based on your original paid in capital account balance. Okay, so let's save this entry, and voila, there we go. Let's go to investment summary. Now, you might look at this and think that's useless. Why would I take the time? It's not working. Find your investment, select the investment, tell the computer how you want to view the investment, and now things start to get a little bit more fun because you're starting to see the pref that's accruing, and you're able to record the cash flow that you're receiving. As the months roll by, here in rows 18 and 19, you're going to start to have a series of cash flows, and you start to see a trend. Ideally, the trend is getting bigger, and you're receiving incrementally larger amounts of cash flow. And you can also look at the entirety of the portfolio. We'll get to that in a minute. You'll notice that the one investment, well, let me say it this way. This column here, I'm sorry, this is a row, not a column. This row begins to sum the accrued but unpaid preferred return balance. By the way, if you are, and this is okay if this is the case, but if you're confused as to the difference of cash on cash versus preferred return, call me. Call anybody on Spartan's investor relations team or email me. I've got a video that walks through the difference between cash on cash, which is just the cash that you receive on a monthly or quarterly basis, annualized, versus the preferred return, which is that monthly obligation that needs to get paid to you at a rate of that's specific to the investment. In this case, it's an annualized rate of 7%. So if cash on cash is starting at 5, you're going to start building 2 on a monthly basis by way of accrued but unpaid preferred return. I just flew through that. If that's unfamiliar territory, call or email. Happy to help. Regardless, at row 25, what we're doing is we are summing or adding the monthly accrued but unpaid pref balance. And on this investment, for this investment, let's round to the nearest dollar, 292 plus 292 for the month here in July. The sum of those numbers are 583. We did get a cash on cash payment of, in this example, $292. We didn't actually pay that for Storage Fund 1 in September. 292 it's actually an annualized 7% cash on cash number as opposed to 5%. I can't do that in my head, so pardon. Regardless, you'll see here that in row 25, that's where you're summing your pref return. Well, if we paid you $292 in this example, why would you have an accrued but unpaid balance increase when you've had a cash receipt? This is your cash on cash. This is your pref. Well, the reason for that is back on our data entry tab. When we got to this cell, we told Excel, this is a return of basis. This is not a pref distribution. This is a return of basis. So here, you're going to see a pref that is accruing, and on your investment tracking, you're going to see that your amount of a basis left in the fund is 49,708. So your cash on cash is chipping away against your basis. Your pref accrual, that's continuing to build. That's why this is important, so that you know for all your investments, not just Spartan, but so you know with all your investments where you're at. You can also, this is a fun fact for it's actually not Friday, but fun fact on a Friday, because I like to say that. You can see what your pref accrual would be on an annual basis. And you can just look at over the years rolling forward. You can also start to look at your entire portfolio here, and if you had additional investments in this column, these returns would populate, and it just gets more complex. And over here on the far right, this is our internal rate of return. It's showing negative because we don't know the present value of the future value streams, plural, of income, and those streams are either the gain or the monthly distributions. At any rate, I could go on and on. Let me just stop right here. If you have questions, I'm going to stop sharing. Well, let me just wrap up. If you have questions on how to use the tool, reach out to anybody on the team. This is where you spend most of your time once you've added an investment on a monthly or quarterly basis. Do a quick population, do a quick add of information. Check your sheet, and I spend most of my time for Melissa and my record keeping. Spend most of my time on the monthly tab. I just want to see what the trends are for various investments. That is, to a degree, it's indicative of the health of the asset and of the portfolio overall. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. Kids, thank you so much for taking a minute. Reach me here on the left side. That's my a work phone number. You are able to text. You can text me. You can email me, or you can email any of us on the team at investors@Spartan, or Lauren@Spartan, or Ed or Roy @Spartan. It's all it's the same formatting. Let us know if you have questions. Always happy to help. Thanks for taking a few minutes to listen, and take care.